what about ketamine? Well, ketamine, again, is very dose specific, and ketamine can be given at lighter doses that have been sometimes referred to as relational doses, more technically referred to in the literature as psycholytic doses as opposed to psychedelic. And a psycholytic dose is one that essentially lyses or breaks some of those possible barriers to accessing deeper emotional content, maybe loosening or softening a person's defenses, psychological defenses or coping strategies, such that it's lubricating or facilitating a relational therapeutic process. So we see that with ketamine. That could also be done at lower doses with psilocybin. MDMA is different though, because MDMA at lower doses, it's been shown that it actually just creates more of an agitation. It's got a sympathomimetic effect, increased heart rate, blood pressure, and even as it's coming on, participants can feel some anxiety or some wind up that therapists are trained to help them to breathe through until the full effects of the MDMA come on board. And it's like an analogy of kind of swimming out into an ocean with crashing waves and then getting past the waves into sort of the more calmer seas in the full effects of MDMA. So MDMA is not a medicine that has like quite a dose range that would get into a more psycholytic territory per se. Although when working with MDMA, as I've said already, it can be quite relational at high doses. So back to ketamine then, at higher doses, ketamine can be more dissociative, can make that time and space and orientation much looser. And as the dose increases into psychedelic range, which is anywhere from 0.5 to 1.5 milligrams per kilogram, intramuscular or IV, there's equivalency doses to oral and sublingual. But in that dose range, a person can lose track of their body in space with the dissociative effects. So that can engender a lot of different things. I mean, in depression, it's really interesting on a subjective level. The dissociative effects can almost, in my experience and from what I've observed, loosen or lift off almost like the heaviness or the weight of depression in the way that depression feels and is experienced in one's full self, including their embodied experience. And so with that dissociative aspect, some of that weight is lifted. We think of it as like a heavy, wet blanket or something of that nature. And then a person gets to experience themselves differently without that. So there's still, again, with ketamine, there's still more of a tendency to remain connected to a sense of me or I that is experiencing, less ego dissolving or potential for profound ego dissolving experiences. And so with ketamine, a person might be anywhere in that spectrum between kind of pendulating in their inner experience and coming out to staying inside. For most of the duration of ketamine, it's much shorter acting. And so how this translates to therapeutic skill sets is if we're going to work across different medicines, we've got to really be able to tailor our level of engagement in an attuned way with where the client is at and what's happening or what we can perceive from the outside is happening in their experience, how oriented they are, and how much of a relational engagement they are engaging or asking for versus staying inside in their own experience. So there's this kind of nuance of really sensitive attunement to connection and relational engagement that can differ across medicines and can also differ across doses in some cases, and can really differ across individuals too. Different medicines affect different people in different ways, and that might be due to processing pathways and different genetic variants. It might be due to other factors. I'm curious about interoceptive awareness and a level of embodied self-awareness and how that might impact a person's subjective experience of a psychedelic state. I think more research is needed there too, but regardless of what they are, different people can have different experiences at the same dose of the same medicine too. So this really calls for flexibility in how a therapist is able to show up and moment to moment meet the needs as they unfold for a client's therapeutic process.
This mini lecture is part of Nuances' Introduction to Psychedelics, which is a free course where we explore the world of psychedelic medicines and their potential as therapeutic tools. Check out the link in the description for more info.